Hey Expert Empires community, how you doing? Nick James here. Welcome to module number 15 of this training, and today we're talking all about how you can get other people to cover your event costs. In other words, what can you do to get sponsorships for your events? This is a topic that's been discussed a lot in our mastermind Facebook group. Sam Brown, shout out to Sam Brown, just asked a question in there, I think it was yesterday, so thought it'd be a good time to look at this topic, this module today. So I think probably the first thing that we need to discuss when it comes to sponsorship is the pros and cons of doing it. So there are certain events where I will have sponsors, like at Expert Empires, for example. There are certain events where I won't have sponsors, like our 3-day bootcamp. And the reason I don't have sponsors at the 3-day bootcamp is because it's designed to be a 3-day intensive training, not a come and find out about loads of different potential opportunities, products, services that might benefit you. Whereas with something like Expert Empires, obviously there's lots of different speakers there, some of whom you might relate to, some of whom you might not relate to. So it's okay in that environment. Also, of course, with something like Expert Empires, the costs are somewhere around £200,000 to run it. Whereas with a 3-day bootcamp, they're nowhere near that. You know, you're talking like 10, 15 grand max, something like that probably. So there's not the necessity for it. Whereas, you know, when you're spending a couple of $100 grand on an event, having other people covering some of that cost is quite helpful. So I guess the first question is, how do you go about finding potential sponsors? It's not dissimilar to the mindset of finding potential joint venture partners, in that you're looking for people that have got complementary product services to you, but they're not competitive. As in, I wouldn't necessarily have a sponsor at one of my events who teaches people how to run successful expert businesses, to get bums on seats at their events, that has mastermind programs, because that would be a little bit of a conflict with what we offer. But having said that, so some of our sponsors would be software providers like Infusionsoft, ClickFunnels. You know, we also have sponsors, people who are like Ryan Pinnick has often been a sponsor of our events, because, you know, he's got a really great philosophy on personal development and your genius, which I don't really cover that kind of stuff when I work with clients or when I speak at events. You know, we've had people like Ed Smith sponsor our events, who specialise in Facebook ads. I know a bit about Facebook ads, but I don't really teach it. It's not really my speciality. So it's about finding people that have got complementary products and services to yours that aren't competing with you. And my advice would always be to start off, probably, like when you're just starting running events, or if you haven't had sponsors at your events before, it's likely that you're not going to go and start getting hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of sponsorship straight out the gate. I'm fortunate in that I've been doing this a while. You know, I've been doing this kicking on for 10 years, and so sponsors know and trust that when I take their sponsorship fees up front, that I'm going to deliver a great event and they're going to get a return on that investment. If you're just starting out and you haven't got a track record, then it's much more difficult. So you'd start off, when my first ever sponsorship deal, I think, was about £1,500. So it was relatively insignificant, and that was for an event where we had about 150 attendees. So, you know, it's not big money to start with, but it builds over time. And you know, we've had sponsors now that are spending in excess of £20,000 to sponsor one of our events. So, you know, when you get a few of those, it adds up, and it starts to it definitely at least starts to make a significant dent in the costs of your event. And that's really the purpose of sponsors for me commercially, is to reduce a lot of the risk and cover a lot of the cost of the events. Also, you take sponsorship fees up front. You're probably going to hear some like cars going past and stuff, because I'm sat here in the middle of Monte Carlo and there's lots of loud engines and stuff. In fact, it's been relatively quiet so far, the last 10 minutes while we've been doing this, so I've obviously timed it well. But yeah, you're probably going to start off with modest sponsorship fees, but even just think about it this way, even if you run an event for maybe 50 people and you had one sponsor paying you £2,000 to be like your main sponsor for the event, maybe you give them a little speaking slot during some of the event, like that couple of grand, that's probably going to cover your room hire for a 2-day event with 50 people. So it's, you know, it all adds up, it all helps, it all contributes, and also it's a great way for you to start building relationships that can also then take different directions for joint ventures. So a lot of my sponsors have become joint venture partners, a lot of my joint venture partners have become sponsors. So I suppose the sponsorship is really just another form of joint venture. So I think the long-term benefit of doing it in the short term is huge, even if the short-term cash amount you're getting now isn't that great. And I was talking to Joe Doyle. Shout out Joe Doyle, who's just come on the live. I just noticed. So Joe and I were talking on a Facebook Live a couple of days ago about this very topic, and he asked me, what is probably the number one secret to the relative amount of success that I've managed to have in the last 10 years, and really it's not even a tactic or something I can teach you. It's the fact that I've built relationships in this industry for a very long time. So I first went to a Tony Robbins seminar at 12 years of age. In fact, one of my longest standing clients now, shout out to Rolf Stauffer. Rolf and I met at a Tony Robbins seminar when I was a teenager. Now, he didn't become a client then because I didn't have a business then. But, he's since become a client. He's been a loyal client. He's my longest standing client. I think he's been with me for 7 years or something crazy. He's, fair play. He's invested a lot of money in working with me. And we've got a great relationship. So the point being, I consistently put myself in the right environment again and again and again. That's attending events. It's being part of masterminds. It's all of this stuff, being in the right environment, which connects you to the right people. Most of my sponsors, by the way, are either in the mastermind group that I'm part of, as in I attend a mastermind as a delegate. We meet at once a quarter, and most of my sponsors either come from that mastermind, it's called the syndicate, or they might also be members of our programs, like clients of ours, mastermind members of ours, people like that. So it's building the community and building the environment that's going to be conducive to long-term relationships, and also sponsorships really come as a byproduct of that as well. So I hope you enjoyed today's little live. Charlotte says thanks. Thanks, Charlotte. She said, "What a lovely place to do a live." Yeah, I'm literally, Charlotte. You can see if I stand up here. I'm just sat on a bench. Me and my wife. There she is. Hello. She does speak, by the way. She has got a voice.
Hello.
There you go. Doesn't really like the camera. Not like me. So we're sat actually just near Casino Square in Monte Carlo. If you see behind me, I don't think you can see very well. We've got the backdrop of like all the mountains and stuff. But I don't think the lighting's good enough for you to see. So I'm going to mix it up, Charlotte, over the next few days. I'm going to. Is it Friday today?
Yeah.
It's Friday today. I lose track of the days when I'm on holiday. So you've got a couple of days off without me now, and then on Monday and Tuesday I'll be starting again. I might mix it up, do these lives in a different location. So a quick one before we wrap up. Remember that the insane offer that I made on the online masterclass on Tuesday is still available. The first 32 people that take advantage of that, it's a no-brainer. The link will be somewhere here, either Adam or V will put it in the description or the comments. You'll see what you get. You're getting like tons of live training, or online live training, I should say. You're also getting first 32 people get to attend a one-day mastermind with me at the SFB office, but we can only seat 32 people in our training room. So make sure you jump on that. The link's around somewhere. Also, make sure if you didn't watch the live masterclass on Tuesday, watch the replay. That's I think that's pinned to the top of the group here as well. And you'll find, I think, in that training, there's a lot more advanced distinctions. And what I did was I went much more in depth on what the steps are for launching tickets to an event successfully. What to do, when to do it, what the timeline looks like. So I think you'll find that masterclass quite valuable to increase ticket sales for your next event. So that's it for me today. Have a fantastic day, have a fantastic weekend, whatever you're up to. See you next week.